Okay, it is now 7:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And the first order of business is to approve various minutes which have not been approved. So let's start with June 18th.
Okay, the earliest, yeah.
I was not present, but you were,
Yep, I'll move to approve the minutes and we can discuss.
fine. Second the motion, all in favor?
Aye. Did you have something you wanted?
I didn't, I had looked at them earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
They came through, but doesn't mean I missed, I might well have missed something.
All right.
We have now approved the minutes of June 18th.
Yeah.
July 2nd. This was appointed Dan. In fact, Dan let me make a procedural note that I'm appointing you to sit as a regular member tonight, so we have more of a thrill. You're thrilled, I'm delighted. The minutes strike me as being accurate, what they were.
Move to approve them.
Second. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Minutes of July 16th. Bill, you were present and I gather were acting as chair that night, so do you have anything you'd like to comment or change on that? I don't dare use the word amend, even though I was not present. You've got a motion? Second. All in favor? Okay, minutes of those three times are approved. The business before the meeting tonight, Pinnacle Project LLC has made a request to rehear our decision of June 23rd, denying Pinnacle's application for variances in conjunction with the proposal for Pinnacle's property at tax map 408, lot 22.1. I would like to move on this by having a motion to go into deliberation.
I'd like some information before we go into
Okay.
deliberations. What's the status of various things? I mean, the applicant going to offer any more evidence? They have other proceedings going? What's the status?
The applicant is talking with the planning board currently about doing a subdivision, but it's only is an informal. There's no application before the board.
So nothing is currently in.
There's nothing in process.
Officially
There's
in
nothing.
progress, yeah.
And so we have no idea whether that would be an application consistent with what they asked for in the variance or not?
There's nothing at this point in time. It's just informal discussions.
I would take that as it has no material effect on what we do with this.
Well, the applicant have anything they want to say?
Would you like more information about our, well, I guess, yes, we want to say that we took your advice and we went to the planning board and are in a series of discussions with them. We were on last week, we're on next week, and then based on the informal, we will go, we are trying to work with the planning board, if that's responsive. And we have asked for a continuance. You have a
My understanding is that it is not legally possible to grant a continuance as such. We may either grant or deny the request for rehearing, and if we grant such a request, we may then schedule at a later date a meeting to consider that.
More option under the statute, which is to suspend our decision pending further discussion.
Say that again. Yeah.
677.3. Upon the filing of a motion for rehearing, the Board of Adjustment, et cetera, may either grant or deny the application or suspend the order of decision complained of pending further consideration. 677.3.
77.
And that's why I was trying to ask, is it relevant to what we've done so far or not? And at this point, it sounds like you don't know.
Well, I think it's relevant. We did ask Bobby what we should do, and they sent in a request, and I didn't look at that. They didn't use the word suspend, I guess, was that?
They asked for a continuance, and I forwarded that email to town council.
Mm-hmm.
And town council has said that the board does not have a legal way of doing that.
Well, then perhaps we could request at this moment that the board suspend the proceedings, because it is our strong desire to work out something avoiding litigation. And as we know, once there's a decision, or at least as been explained to me, then we would have to file within 30 days. And we would like to avoid that. We would like very much to keep working with the town.
Well, it seems to me your options are going to be either, if we suspend, that's one thing. If we don't, then you obviously have the right, and you go forward and talk to the planning board, you have obviously the right to come back in and ask something new.
Right. Well, with the planning board, we're doing two things. We're trying to figure out exactly what we can build without any change to the zoning ordinance. And we started that discussion, and there were some questions that, John, I don't know if you can address it or not, but there were questions they couldn't answer, and they asked us to put them in writing, and we've done that. And we'll get answers, I believe, next week. And then we are also going to see if there's any interest they have in making any changes to the zoning ordinance. And that's step 2 of this discussion.
I would just venture a guess that if either one of those went forward, you'd be talking about something different than you've asked us for before.
They would, a variation on that. We're still interested in cluster development.
I understand that.
Yeah,
but-
okay.
But it sounds like you'd be talking about a different proposal than what we've actually voted on so far. And you'd have the right to come here, obviously, again.
Because you can do nothing. In
Yeah,
other words, we've said what we've said, and you come 6 weeks, 6 months, however, back to us and say, we want to do this. Am I interpreting what your thoughts are correctly?
If it's,
Yeah.
I'm
It's a
guessing
new
you're saying something
application.
different.
Well,
What happens if we agree to rehear it? Does that trigger, is there a calendar implication with that? Do we have
No.
to rehear it within a certain time?
No, it just says,
No.
suspend, pending further consideration. Any order of suspension may be upon such terms and conditions as the Board of Adjustment may prescribe.
But aside from the suspend option, if we agree to rehear it, are we under any calendar obligation?
Right.
Have to rehear it within a certain time period?
I don't know the answer to that.
The implication from council
Yeah.
is that, no, if you want to rehear in October, you're welcome to do that.
In my conversation with town council, yes, the board can schedule a time that's convenient with the applicant. There's nothing in there that says it has to be, that you're now on a new time frame.
We have to do something within 30 days. But
Right.
having done the something,
Right, once
then
you've
we
made your
have the
decision
leeway to go later.
But it sounds like you may be quite a ways away from having enough to come back here.
Well, no, I don't think so. It is my hope that after we have another full meeting with the planning board, perhaps 2, we will have the information we need to come in with a request. I mean, hopefully, the planning board will will agree with you that this is the sort of thing that should be addressed by the planning board.
But what the implication is then is that you actually would be coming in with a different request at that point. In other words, if we rehear, we have to rehear what you asked for.
Absolutely.
We can't
Right.
Yes, I
rehear
understand that,
modified version of
absolutely,
that.
yes. Right, wow. And,
I mean, the suspension was like, oh yikes, can we call Bobby and find out? But without knowing about that, I think what we would have liked is to have you say, yes, we will rehear it, and we'd like to schedule the rehearing at our convenience in October, because some of us will be away in September. And the rehearing would be based on the submission that you received, where a number of where council suggested a number of changes and suggestions that she thought you would consider.
So it would be a new hearing then?
No, that would be a rehearing.
No, you see,
Oh.
we can't rehear a modified plan.
It's not a modified plan.
Then it's a new one.
As
No,
I
it's-
understand it, the materials filed in June were a traditional rehearing, saying, here are the items that you should reconsider, here are some errors you made,
Right,
factual
yeah,
errors.
but that's only relevant to the original application.
That's correct.
That's right, that's right.
So you wouldn't be bringing a new
No, we
application?
would not. Anything that would be new would be something we developed with the planning board.
But we couldn't act on
And you
that.
wouldn't, no, and so then if we had something, we might come in and say, you know what? We don't need a rehearing anymore.
Okay,
Now, let me
Sir.
question, you, particular, being
counselor.
a gentleman familiar with the law.
Well,
once upon
not
a time.
necessarily, go ahead.
But if I read the first full sentence of 677(3)(2), I get, upon the filing of a motion for a rehearing, which is what we've got, the Board of Adjustment, a Board of Appeals or the local legislative body, shall within 30 days either grant or deny the application or suspend the order or decision complained of pending further consideration.
Judge, we can suspend our decision. That appears to be an option.
That appears to me to be an option,
Yeah.
as well as denying or.
Yes, I agree.
Okay,
So fundamentally you would say, we have no decision, there's no decision binding on the applicant presently operative, it is in suspension.
Until sometime is, whatever term we set.
until a pending further consideration.
Depending on what we
Pending
say.
further
Hmm.
consideration.
Right,
But I think that pending further consideration means addressing whatever issues they've raised. It's not a new plan.
That's
I
correct.
don't think you're talking about anything new. I think it's a question of, you're
I see
talking
what
about.
you, I would agree with you.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah. That's the only way to bring in a new idea, a
New
new data,
information, yeah.
is to make a
Right.
new submission.
Right,
I think
We agree.
I think that's
I think we
So-
agree. Yeah.
okay.
Obviously, counsel for the applicant knew they had two choices to come tonight. Ask us to suspend or to rehear. They asked us to rehear.
Yeah,
I think that's what we should do.
decide whether we're going to rehear or
So,
not.
so
That's
either,
what they asked for.
either we say yea or nay.
Well, they, no, to go on, I mean, we have advice in having reread our decision and along with their counsel's analysis of our decision, I think there are places that we would like to come back and bolster our argument or our decision memorandum. Whether we would change our mind or not, I mean, I'm not predicting that part. I'm
Right,
just saying
I see what you mean.
the points were raised.
Given the material we have in hand, including the application.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
we have the application, the original decision memorandum, we have
Yeah.
critique by applicant's counsel, we have.
Shouldn't we be in this deliberation? for-
Well,
I don't
maybe
know,
not.
I'm perfectly happy with whatever you think.
I have no problem going that way, except I think the applicant needs to know we will not, if we hear this, be talking about something new.
I think you made that clear.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but I mean, that's
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah, no, I agree completely,
Yeah,
Bob.
Right.
okay,
Right.
okay.
But I'd like to go into deliberation at
Yes,
this point.
fine.
Motion to go into deliberation.
Yep.
Second,
Yep.
all in favor?
Aye.
Usual rules. That's okay, keep on saying exactly what you're saying. I just
So,
wanted to
I
be
mean,
correct.
we do have points that were raised
Yes.
about our decision memorandum, and we also have a response from town council about things that we should make sure we mention if we rehear it,
Mhm.
when we rehear it. And so I don't see.
I think it's a win.
Not to go forward with that and address what, if there are shortcomings that we need to address, we should.
Yeah. Dan?
But I don't know why ask for continued, back and forth prospects of litigation, which we'd all like to avoid, they've said that. Why pick fights? I mean, if they
We're trying not to.
Sure, and so, you know, if they, having assessed the whole situation, are desirous, you know, are going back to the planning board and, you know, seeing what can be done, why should we go further with, at this time?
Because that's what they asked for.
Well, they're not, they don't seem to be pounding the table asking for it.
Well,
No, but the letter
There's no question
specifically,
what their council
Yes.
specifically says.
yeah.
They're
Are we
actually-
obligated to, but we're not obligated to go ahead with that.
I think Bill's made a critical point, and that is that they've made some points which are good.
Yeah.
But we have an opportunity to address those and clarify them, maybe improve the whole product for both parties. They may come back to us at the end of our waiting period and say, that's okay, we're coming in with a new proposal. This is a method of both buying us opportunity and buying them time. Does that seem reasonable to you, Rob?
Yeah, the question, I guess a couple questions. I mean, I'm not anticipating that they're gonna offer any additional evidence on their present proposal, even though they've raised issues, they've raised
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
That is, what we're doing with a rehearing is reevaluating the evidence we had
Yep.
Yeah.
and see what
Absolutely.
we're talking about. Then I guess if we grant a rehearing and then we were to say, all right, we clarified some things, but we still deny the variances,
Mm-hmm.
then I guess that means they get a new appeal period from the next denial.
I believe that's, would be the way I read it.
And so they get another 30 days then.
Yeah, I would say.
But,
And that's the difference, that's what's the advantage.
Right.
They get the 30.
they have to come, once we have made a second decision, they have 30 days to come back and say,
That's the 30 days,
And-
that's what I was.
and we would then again have a brief meeting and decide to
And then-
do whatever we did next.
Yeah. Which could be 30 days, 30 days, but, you know, that's fine.
Well,
I
they
believe,
also don't have to ask for rehearing, they can
Well,
go straight
sure.
to Superior Court.
They can,
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
no, I think they have to ask for another
No,
rehearing.
they have to have a rehearing
Get
before they
those
can do
things-
it.
okay, good.
Yes.
Unless they take the workforce route,
No, I think they still have to do
they
it.
probably still have to. Anyway,
I think they would like to do it this way,
Yeah.
because it's cleaner.
I think so too, so that's fine.
Okay.
But I think Bill's point, and I would have made it also, is that the rehearing gives us an opportunity to review and clarify.
That's fine.
I would think so.
So are we ready to take a vote on that?
Is there anything else in section 2 that speaks to?
You mean 677.3.2?
No, section 677.2.
Oh, okay.
Speaking about Bill.
To the actual rehearing process itself. I don't see anything here that is.
There's one case that's referenced in which they had a second request for a rehearing. After, the first one was, there was a denial, then they asked for more information, asked for requests, put more information in, and then they had to rehear again, and asked for a rehearing again.
Okay.
There's one case, that's all.
Yeah. So we don't, we would assume, I'm really asking a procedural question, I guess. We would assume that the rehearing would follow the same rules as the original hearing, if you want to use that word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it restarts the whole process, is my understanding.
And I guess they technically could offer additional evidence on the original material.
I would think so.
I believe so.
I didn't see anything that said, that limits them to just rehearing on
Yes.
our denial.
I think that's what it is.
Well, right, but
I thought
they have asserted that we misinterpreted
Yeah.
things or
Yeah.
didn't address certain things, so forth. But the question would be, can they, at the rehearing, bring up additional, let's call it complaints, about our decision memorandum, or are we limited to?
No,
They can
no.
also, if they wish, bring in new information which would further inform our deliberations. So
Yeah, I agree with
we
that.
could also ask them new questions.
I would agree with that. just to make
You
it
know, it
process.
is
So we're-
a, it is a
Yeah.
new
I
hearing.
don't blame
Clear
you, yeah.
that
I don't
even
blame
though
you.
it's a rehearing, it's no more than, in essence, a continuation of our last
Yeah.
rehearing,
Yep.
moving
Yep.
putting the decision memorandum to the side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
To clean it up, if not.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
All right.
yeah, so,
I would move that we schedule a rehearing at a mutually convenient time.
I would second
All right,
that.
second.
All in favor?
All right.
What's a mutually convenient time? Why are we going this to a specific date,
Because we can't do that in deliberation.
Well,
Or
no,
can we?
well, I mean, but it shouldn't, let me ask the question again, why shouldn't it be continued for a specific date?
They requested a date in October.
Well, okay,
informally.
okay, then what if we say our October meeting date?
Actually, I think that October was suggested by town council.
It had come through David also. And Liz, in earlier comments a few minutes ago, also mentioned October. So.
Right, but.
Well, I mean, all I'm asking is why don't we do it to the October ZBA meeting?
Yeah, let's just do the October.
Only
ZBA.
because if in
Like you said.
discussion with the administrator, subsequently they decided they'd rather do it in November because they want to keep talking to the planning board.
I think we have to continue it at that meeting then.
We can do that.
We can do that easily, yeah.
But we would presumably have prepared
Yeah,
all this
I
material.
think, I would see us having spent a fair amount of time
Yes,
addressing
right.
our council and their
We can do
council
that.
before the meeting. I'd rather not do that.
If there's new material, you mean?
No, if they're coming back from the planning board and saying, you know what, we don't need to review this.
Well, I can't say it's a blame you, but we don't know that yet.
So that's why I'd like to put the date at a mutually convenient time, they can tell us when they're ready.
Yeah, it has to be time specific.
Yeah, and then, let's say it's November, because they've
Yeah.
gone through the planning board,
Right.
they realize that that route doesn't get them what they need, then does they want to set the date?
Yeah,
It's fine.
Right.
But if we set the date early and they're still talking to the planning board,
my question though is that if we're setting a pending, the statement pending further consideration, you know,
it doesn't talk about 30 days.
there's something to talk about dates, no, but.
I'm surprised, actually.
Yeah,
but-
so am I.
So since it doesn't, and since the continuation doesn't mention how fast we have to, I'm just speculating administratively.
Sure.
That if we end up not needing to do anything because they come to a good conclusion with the plan, satisfactory conclusion, the planning board, then they withdraw, then we don't need.
Yeah, we
a lot
don't
of
need
work.
to put a lot of work in
Right,
it.
and if they decide in the next few weeks, several weeks, that they're not getting where they need to go or want to go with the planning board, then they ask us to send them. I don't know, that just seems not so much as a courtesy, but as a practical.
I agree with you.
Because
So
I think we have a lot of work internally to do based on the commentary.
To put it mildly.
Mhm.
So, given, I'm sorry, your discussion before the vote, given that, you know, that there's all this uncertainty about whether they really want to, continue the appeal process and the dates, and they're, having discussions with the planning board, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't understand why we want to put everybody through the whatever, dealing with with
Yeah.
all of these legal memos,
Yeah.
that lawyers are very good at writing. We all know
Well,
that,
that's debatable.
perhaps from our
Debatable.
personal experience,
Yeah.
lawyers can go back and forth and back and forth
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
I don't know why want to subject ourselves to chasing something which may change in the future or may not be proposed.
Right, but the thing is, if we are going back for a rehearing, it is for the material presented to us initially in the application, as changed by subsequent meetings during the hearing
But
process.
given that it may change, I mean, there's all
I
kinds
don't
of
disagree with you, but they.
reasons why it may change.
Right.
Why are we subjecting ourselves to chasing after something which may well have changed, both substantively
gone by
and in
the
terms,
board, yeah.
both substantively
So
and in terms of the dates of meetings and so on and so forth. I
So
don't
Dan,
understand.
there's maybe a way out of this, which is we should tell, when we come out of deliberation, we tell the Pinnacle folks that if they wish to present new material to us, that it must be at the October meeting. And any new information which we would use as ancillary information for our conclusions. And that then we would, once that is done, continue the process once again, pretty specifically, until the November meeting, at which point we would then, in public deliberation, modify our findings and in whatever way we thought was appropriate, present them as a decision.
Well, this could happen at each meeting. I mean, we could do, maybe they won't be presenting new information in October, but perhaps they will in November, and in November, they could say, we're still continuing the discussions. In other words, this kind of, dialogue could continue without a whole lot of sort of work and non-lawyers trying to respond to high-powered lawyers writing this material, subjecting ourselves to.
The only thing with that is that we went through that process already, and all they're asking for is a continuation of that process, and we accepted the information brought in later during the application.
Yes,
If I'm
several
not-
times, absolutely.
So that wouldn't be any different, whether it's the rehearing or the initial hearing.
Let's make a distinction though between new information and a new plan,
Yes,
new proposal.
precisely.
I would be very uncomfortable if we got a new proposal in October, November. I have no problem.
New proposal, they could withdraw the old one at that point and start fresh.
You know what, yeah,
But if they said, we take note of your paragraph such and such, and so we're submitting evidence to address your findings or your facts.
Yeah, right.
That I take it to be within the scope of a rehearing.
Absolutely.
But I wouldn't take to be a different physical plan or a
yeah,
different.
absolutely, I agree totally.
I think we've always insisted that's what the rehearing is about.
The rehearing is about a reevaluation of existing data which may be modified with additional findings that would be relevant to that reevaluation.
Yeah.
Does that sound right?
No, I think it does, yeah, I was, when you said new information or new material, I thought.
Yeah, no, I don't want,
I was thinking, well,
no, I mean,
We had that process already.
we've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so the understanding is then that at some meeting, we were based on the request from council, from the applicant's council, they've raised additional points that we need to consider, and we also have some advice from our council.
Yeah.
Stuff we need to.
Exactly.
To address, and that's what that rehearing would cover, at least that, if not other stuff that we independently determine.
Right.
Yeah.
The only thing that I would throw out about October, whether it's relevant or necessary for everyone to consider or not, I leave to you all, is that I'm very likely to be in China.
You're always done.
Damn. No, Rob, don't burst into tears now.
Thank you, folks. Again, all of this discussion really is focused on, are we giving the applicant a waiver that they don't have to file a Superior Court meeting? I mean, that's really what we're talking about. Because I don't think we're gonna get any new evidence.
No, I didn't expect much, if any.
We'll
But
have arguments
we've
about
got-
what we concluded.
We've got evidence here in both documents that we've received.
Well, I mean, they have pointed out what they allege to be shortcomings in our decision.
No, I understand that, and those are issues that then would get litigated if they go to appeal. I mean, I'm all for what they're doing with the planning commission. but I think that's a different proceeding, eventually.
It doesn't matter to what we do.
No,
You're absolutely right.
I mean, I'm happy to grant, go ahead with the rehearing, I just don't have great expectations of what else we'll get.
I'm with Bill in the rehearing, that I think it gives us a
Yeah, we can
very
clean
good
up.
opportunity to
Clean up.
improve, clean up,
Yeah.
and clarify.
It does.
Yeah,
And it may change our minds in some areas, we don't know the answer to that.
This was a daunting challenge, right, from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
The scope and the scale of the project, so
Yeah.
the fact that we maybe glossed over some stuff or assumed facts to be in evidence that we forgot to mention.
Yeah, right.
Let's work on it.
Well, although, you know, we spent many months on this process, many months. And,
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
absolutely.
I don't know why we're asking,
But we only spent a couple of weeks, 2 meetings, 2 weeks apart, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
to actually craft the decision memo.
Right.
That, I'm only saying is that we condensed a year
Yeah.
or so of meetings and
Yeah,
presentations
intermediaries, yeah,
into
right.
one thing. And if now we look back and say, yeah, you're right, we really didn't.
We didn't get that one quite right.
We forgot to mention this, or we mentioned it as a passing comment rather than laying it out as a paragraph.
Identifying a fact, or list of facts or whatever, yeah.
I think there's room for improvement, let's go improve it.
That's why I would.
there's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
yes,
you know,
but now we've
the
had.
question is, do we need to spend the time to improve it under the uncertainties that have been presented, both in terms of dates and in terms of negotiations with the planning board?
Deny it, no,
And I went,
deny the rehearing.
no, we continue until you have a solution.
Oh,
We either go to a rehearing,
Yeah.
or we deny the request for a rehearing.
I thought we could continue, that was a third.
suspend, yeah, suspend.
That's the suspend, but then, that's been when we get into cleaning things up, but not until.
I think-
I mean, essentially, by doing what we're doing, we really are suspending, yeah, but that's fine.
So we're not gonna be undertaking the additional work, we're just gonna suspend it until,
so
whatever
they
the
asked,
next
they
meeting.
asked for a hearing, but they want, they say we'd like to do this in November. Well,
That's fine, I mean.
So you're arguing that we grant a or we grant a suspension or a rehearing?
A rehearing to a mutually satisfactory date, and then they can tell us what they want to do.
Suspension would be more open-ended.
Yeah.
I'd like to,
Yeah.
Well, you check
I wish I knew what the difference was between agreeing to a rehearing with no date and suspending.
I'm not sure we can agree to a rehearing with no date.
It doesn't say
We
that.
can't. No, see, I think that's the thing, is we have to give a date certain as part of
For
a
any
rehearing,
hearings.
for any hearing, because it has to be noticed.
Yeah.
We do, so the apparent next date for this appears to be sometime in October. Nothing says we can't turn around in October and just continue that till November, based on the information available in October. And frankly, since I'd love to be present for whatever happens next, I would really like to suggest that October is the decision date on what happens next. And then we use that period in time thereafter for any other work we're doing.
What do you mean, October is the decision date?
Basically, in October, we would then say, either they're coming to us and saying, well, you can drop it. Or we're saying, okay, we're continuing to November, and then we get to work on the memorandum.
Okay, I mean, I like that because, I mean, in effect, it allows them to sort of withdraw their, whereas they're probably not in a position right now to withdraw.
But I want it clear that that's the decision path we're taking. October is the time at which it's either goes away, or we say we're moving forward, and November is the time we're gonna present.
What are you referring to as being withdrawn?
Their motion for a rehearing, or their request for a rehearing.
That's what bothers me
I
about
don't know that they can withdraw it, it's already on the table.
it. It's already there.
So we would then deny the rehearing at that point. No, wait a second, we can't do that because
We have 30 days to make up our mind.
That's today.
that's today.
So, rather than 2 stages, then I would just say, let's schedule a rehearing.
Okay, that's fine with me.
I don't see any need to rush into this unless, I haven't heard anything from the audience
Well,
about clamoring.
they're being relatively good about not piping up.
No, I didn't mean that
They're as
today.
confused as we are.
I mean,
I haven't seen any breath holds or anything like that.
Oh, waving
they
hands,
have
yeah.
said tonight, they've said that they are continuing to work with the planning board.
Yeah,
And that it's informal, and there's no.
Which means nothing to us then.
Right, it means there's nothing concrete that,
Yeah.
which either they or the planning board are gonna take action on right away.
Yeah.
So I see there's no reason for us to rush in to spend time on this.
No, I agree with you. Right.
And
But whatever's going on at the planning board is immaterial.
But we are still going to consider the original plan.
Right. Yeah.
And all that what we're doing is essentially letting them eventually still appeal if we deny this further to the court at
Yeah.
a later time,
Right.
rather than having to decide
That's
now.
correct.
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So they get what they want
And-
and we're protected.
And if we think back to I think it was the last time we ended up in court, is because we overlooked a paragraph about no retail anymore.
Exactly.
Right? That was the farming.
That's exactly correct.
And we thought we were doing it right. And it
And
was-
so did town council.
Right, and it was a glaring thing right there in black and white.
Exactly, yeah.
So here we have 2 separate memorandums,
I did.
the hearing request, and the stuff from town council that points out
Yeah,
what our apparently inadequacies are.
and so let's fix it. Good.
Okay.
Whether that foreshortens a trip to North Haven or not, I have no idea.
We'll
I
find
would
out.
rather that we do a good job here and not get reprimanded by the judge for doing a sloppy job.
Yeah,
Exactly,
right.
right.
But we'll get reprimanded anyway, one way or another.
It was interesting to read all the ways in which we could be wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
Lawyers are
I
good at that.
I will probably go out of deliberations to get information.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, speech is now,
Permitted.
does this make sense to you, Liz?
Yes,
think so,
we've been
yes.
chatting back here, and it sounds very reasonable to us, and we think November also makes sense. I mean, I understand Dan's point about why do work that you don't have to do.
Exactly.
And I would think we would know a lot more by November. The only thing I can't say is I can't speak for Bobby, but with this
Sure.
much planning, I would imagine that they'd be able to address it.
Okay,
And I looked ahead, and David can correct me, and I think the 19th is I was a little worried about Thanksgiving, but I think Thanksgiving's late, so
19th is likely.
I think that's the 3rd Thursday,
October
November,
19th, Thanksgiving's the following week.
right.
that's fine, that's more comfortable.
And daylight savings time is the 1st, so just a reminder,
The what?
November 1st.
So you plan ahead.
What is November first?
Daylight
Daylight
savings.
savings time.
Oh,
The October meeting was the date of it?
The
we'll
19th.
still be here when it starts.
October
Yeah.
is 19th?
Oh, okay, 15th is
November.
October.
November's 19th.
The November is the 19th.
Yeah.
So we had a motion on the deliberation.
Yes, to grant a continuing
Grant a
rehearing.
rehearing.
At a date.
We've now
which we
completed
have a date.
discussion of that motion, and so I'd like a vote on the motion to rehear.
Do we go back into that?
No, I don't think we have to
Yeah,
at
we
this
don't.
point. So all in favor of granting a rehearing?
For November.
November 19th.
Yeah.
For
All in
November
favor?
19th. Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, so your hearing is granted. Keep us informed,
Through David.
and the other thing I would like to do is that board members, as they review this in their copious spare time, come up with other questions that you might wish to provide information on to clarify points already in the record. get them, we would get them to David, and David would then send them to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it seems to me that we have lots of documentary evidence. What we don't have is any record of the oral testimony, except for that thing.
Oh,
It is
Except
on,
for that thing.
yeah,
All on YouTube.
it's all on YouTube.
Is it all on YouTube?
Oh, yes.
And posted?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Fine.
it's
no
out there.
transcript,
Good,
but
okay.
Yeah,
one could
Didn't know that.
transcribe
Thank
it.
yeah.
Keywords to find it?
Usually on zoning board, you'll find it.
Okay.
Yes, right, Lyme ZBA, will go to YouTube, Lyme ZBA,
Yeah,
will
good
pull it
enough.
up.
Thank you.
David,
Question.
do you have, I have a channel with all of them listed.
I'll
I'll
find it.
send,
Yeah, if you want to send, yeah.
I'll send it to you.
What is the status of the memorandum from town council?
It is a privileged document. We did ask that question
So I
specifically.
assume so, but
Yeah, no, it is, it's an attorney-client.
once they're on the email, they have an interest in what
No, let's not do that.
No,
Right.
Specifically ask that question.
Yeah, good, well, it seems like the logical answer, but
Yeah,
since it
so
was,
we did,
since it was in an email, it
Right.
makes it difficult to control.
yeah, my son did make the observation when he worked at the White House, if you don't want to see it on the front page of the Washington Post, don't put it in an email.
Yeah.
And everybody wonders why I don't really have a private service.